I hate to go here, but this is my beat. On the flip side of that, back in Montecito, you do have celebrities that don't want the association with Harry and Meghan. Reese Witherspoon specifically, I was told, declined appearing on Meghan's initial podcast because she cares very deeply for Catherine, Princess of Wales, and she didn't want to jeopardize that relationship with the future queen. So I do think that it's important to point out that real royalty still attracts a huge and important and influential group of people. And Harry and Meghan, they've alienated themselves because their brand can appear to be so negative at sometimes.
Well, I think we may have spoken before about leading up to this. It was an incredibly important state visit, and Harry and Meghan often, when something is so important to the royal family, they pop up. They do something. I remember when I was flying to
Boston. Like a moth to a flame.
Yeah, like a moth to a flame. But this time, Harry and Meghan behaved themselves this week, do you think?
No, I don't. Like, I love that. I love your delivery. At least there was a question mark at the end of that sentence. So all we're talking about is how exciting this trip is. I know you were there like last week. Or 2 weeks ago, we were so excited about this trip. What was it going to deliver? And all of a sudden, Harry pops up in Ukraine out of nowhere. Harry pops up in Ukraine, and he not only. I mean, it's fair to say, like, we need to stop the war in Ukraine. No one likes war. We all want peace. But Harry stands up there and challenges Putin. He challenges President Trump, making it an awkward situation for his father, who has to come here and do a very important job. He has an incredible responsibility during this trip. And a few days into the official state visit, we all look at each other and go, gosh, that's weird that we haven't heard anything from Harry and Meghan. Hope they're okay. Should we do some sort of, check? Should we do some sort of I don't know. And up pops the People magazine cover. Harry making his own rules. Not only is it a People magazine cover, which I know you know, but you probably wouldn't say out loud because you're a very responsible journalist. People magazine is one of Harry and Meghan's favorite outlets, and they have a lot of friends over there. But he's challenging the rules that were given to him when he left the royal family. No half in, half out. He's saying, I'm making my own rules. Now, Harry and Meghan didn't talk to the magazine specifically, but in classic form, close confidants did talk to the magazine and stressed that the Queen would understand what Harry's trying to do. He's simply trying to live a life of service. But I think what you've just shown me is that it didn't work. Right. While they might have been trying to distract from the state visit, there are people like you that were so focused and all you saw was this incredible exchange between our two countries and how meaningful it was, that maybe it didn't work. So that's a great sign. I'm going to
kind of disagree with you, and I hate disagreeing with you, Kinsey, a little bit. I don't think...
All married couples.
Stop it. I think that Harry did not want to go anywhere near torpedoing this trip. I don't think there was any chance that he would even attempt to distract from what he knows is an important thing for his father. I don't think he's that stupid. I'm glad that he didn't. I'm going to admit that I haven't read the People magazine because I've been sat on buses, standing on fixed points, walking around with a notepad for the last 3 or 4 days.
Have you had a hot dog yet?
I haven't even had a hot dog. I've barely eaten.
Gosh, I love hot dogs. I've barely eaten either.
I've barely eaten, but I didn't see it. What was the gist then? His aides are saying that he's writing his own rules. I mean, tell me a little bit more.
Yes, the gist is that Australia was a huge success, and it's the new template.
I'm told that they're going to be unapologetic in repeating the Australia trip. Is it that kind of vibe?
Yeah, that's the vibe, and that they can still be royal without the titles. To which I'd say, then give them up. Like, that's one of our biggest issues. One of their critics' biggest issues is that's fine if you want to monetize your outfits, but you shouldn't be doing it as the Duchess of Sussex while squatting next to a child with cancer. I think that that's completely unacceptable. But the gist is Australia worked. They're no longer being paid for by the taxpayer, so it's none of our business. And this was a success for them, and they're going to continue to pursue it.
That's crazy, because what we've just seen the last couple of days has been a successful royal tour. We've seen soft power, we've seen glamour, we've seen intelligence, we've seen wit, we've seen charities being supported. I was there at the King's Trust Gala event. I mean, you can't compare the Australia trip with the US trip. It's like chalk and cheese.
I love that about you. And we haven't seen the palace promote any of Queen Camilla's outfits for commission, which I think is important. Yes, she promotes designers that are important to her and British designers, but she certainly is not saying, and if you use my code Queen Camilla, 2026, then you get a discount at the checkout, and I get a cut. So yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting that you say that, because did he not realize that going to Ukraine when he went to Ukraine would not be considered a questionable move?
I think going to Ukraine was. I'm not going to knock him for going to Ukraine. He does loads of stuff with Ukraine and Invictus Games out there, and he's been out there 3 times.
Was he there with Halo Trust?
The timing was bad. He was there with Halo Trust. The problem I find with that was the speech and the interview where he gave, where he spoke about he could still be a working royal.
Yeah.
And if that's what they're saying in the People magazine, that he still wants this kind of half in, half out, I think with all the distractions that you have at the moment, important distractions, the royal family have been in the United States carrying out important jobs. Maybe the King and Buckingham Palace are taking their eye off the ball, and there's a bit of a land grab here by Harry and Meghan.
Oh, wow. I would watch that episode of Dallas. I mean, I think that you're absolutely right. But if the King would have put his foot down in the last few weeks, if he would have reacted to Australia in any way, shape, or form, it would have distracted from the buildup of this trip. And then it would have created chaos around whether or not he was going to see or speak to Harry. The ignoring of Harry benefits them more than engaging them in a PR way, and I recognize that. And yes, I want him to strip him of his titles, and I want him to step in there but he should have done it with Andrew, or if he would have done it leading up to this, we wouldn't have been talking about how important this mission was for him, because a lot of us look at this as the most important responsibility he's had since becoming king, and a great success. And I think at the end of the day, that's what he wanted.
I think it's interesting. I'm enjoying this chat because I think that the way that this royal trip to Washington and New York was so good. I think it shows the Australia trip and what Harry and Meghan have been doing in a bad light. It makes it look a little bit frivolous. It makes it look a little bit desperate. And I think that this trip was so good that I kind of regret almost writing stories about the Australia trip, giving it airtime and talking about it, because this was such a success. It just makes the Australia trip just look piffling, in my view. So there we go. Can we just return briefly to the state visit here? But we'll still stick on Harry.
Yeah. Because
Donald Trump did speak about Harry.
Right.
2 or 3 times, I think. He referenced Harry doesn't speak for Great Britain when he was talking about what he had said in Ukraine. And I think he'd said, Robert Hardman had been in to see Donald Trump, and he said, boy, that wife of his, what she's done to that guy. And then I think he joked to a British visitor about Harry, saying, can you take him back? I mean, Harry still cast a shadow over this trip.
A little bit. I mean, I do think for the most part, King Charles is the rock star as the week closes out. We did get a few Harry mentions. Any journalist in their right mind is going to ask or repeat what they hear about Harry on this trip, because Harry is clickbait. But he's not wrong. The woman you marry is incredibly important. King Charles is an example of that. When he was married to Princess Diana, what I think now we can fairly say that there were mental health issues that we hadn't recognized at the time. Mental health has evolved and we understand it better. She talked herself about postpartum after the birth of Prince William. But there were a lot of mental health issues that he did not know how to deal with. Diana was incredibly immature. In a way, she was selfish. So marrying the right woman, look at Will Smith and Jada, back to Hollywood, is unbelievably important. And the shift we saw in King Charles once he did marry Queen Camilla, and how more respected he was, all of the horrible stories about him, slowed down. It is important that you marry the right woman, and I think it's a fair. Trump's been married a couple of times. Some might consider him an expert on finally figuring out who you should settle down with. But I think it's a fair comment.
Okay.
She's made his life incredibly difficult. But she's also said, thanks to astrology, thanks to her astrology shares, the last 7 years of her life have been incredibly difficult. So,
Oh, I read this as well. Sorry, my head's been so stuck in the. What's this about? So,
on Instagram, Meghan shared a post about, she's a Leo, and she shared a post about how she is just ending the cycle of 7 horrible years in astrology. And you're like, well, if you do the math, that's like around the
whole time you've been married to Harry. What do you think that's saying then? This is the first time I did see a headline a couple of days ago, and I needed to read back into that. What's she saying, that her life is horrible? California's horrible?
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
Or is this a new start for her?
She's saying it's a new start. But she is also complaining about the last 7 years of her life, which is frustrating because she's made all of her dreams come true in the last 7 years. She's a TV host with Love Meghan. She got 2 seasons, a Christmas special out of that. She launched a lifestyle brand that was bigger and better than the TIG. You know, she's friends with Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. I mean, she has an incredible life. She has a beautiful home in Montecito, healthy children.
Yeah. Well, we often talk about Harry. Is Harry happy? Does he look grumpy? Does he miss his family? Should he come back? Should we kind of rescue him? Is Meghan happy?
I think Meghan is making all of her dreams come true. I don't think she likes being held accountable, which is what a lot of us do. If she says something that's not true, we bring up the receipts, and then she says we're bullying her.